Massive power cuts in Spain and Portugal have caused chaos, with trains unable to run, phone services out, and tens of millions of people impacted.
Entire regions plunged into darkness. No lights, no Wi-Fi, not even the hum of traffic. Residents of Spain, Portugal, and even bits of France witnessed a historic moment of mass blackout.
Respectively disrupted daily life and critical infrastructure. On Saturday, a fire at an electrical substation near Cannes caused a blackout affecting approximately 160,000 households.
Streets froze, flights were rerouted, and people were left staring at blank screens. So what really went down? Just a glitch? Or something way bigger than we're being told? Alright, let's break it down. On April 28, 2025, something weird hit the Iberian Peninsula. Entire neighborhoods across Spain and Portugal just went dark. We're talking Madrid, Lisbon, Barcelona, all hit within minutes. And this wasn't some power blip. This thing stretched into southern France too. In France, the outage disrupted transport in Cannes, where the film festival was also disrupted.
Yeah, so I was at the 8:30 screening of Sound of Falling, and about halfway through the screen went out. There was still lights on, and about 10 minutes later they were able to resume because it seems that they have their own independent power supply.
Even Bordeaux and parts of Toulouse reported outages. In some places, the power flickered for hours. Trains stopped mid-ride, elevators got stuck, hospitals had to rely on backup generators, and airports, chaos. Some even grounded flights or went to manual check-in. It wasn't just annoying, it was a wake-up call.
And I think this was a big wake-up call that no, you can have European cascading blackouts, okay? But there was no shortage of solar. There was no shortage of available power plants that just weren't running because they weren't needed. So this was a slap across the face of Europeans saying, no, you aren't so special. You can have blackouts.
Now here's the official story. According to the folks running the power grids, like Red Electrica in Spain, it all started with a fault in a high-voltage line connecting France and Spain. Supposedly, there was some kind of technical issue that set off a chain reaction.
After blackouts on Saturday and Sunday in Cannes and Nice, respectively disrupted daily life and critical infrastructure. On Saturday, a fire at an electrical substation near Cannes caused a blackout affecting approximately 160,000 households.
Another theory tossed around? Solar activity. Apparently, a geomagnetic storm might have played a role. But come on. People aren't exactly buying that. Like, sure, maybe wires got fried, or the sun sneezed, or whatever. But why did it knock out such a wide area at the same time? And why were emergency services so unprepared? It just doesn't add up for a lot of folks. Someone also pointed out how the windmills were just standing still.
Well, I'm in Spain. I've stopped on the motorway because I've seen something remarkable. These windmills, as far as the eye can see, as far as you can see, hundreds of them are doing absolutely nothing. This is utterly insane.
So let's talk fallout. When the lights go out for a few minutes, it's whatever. But this one hit different. Hospitals were scrambling. Some even had patients mid-surgery when the blackout hit. Backup generators kicked in, but not everywhere. And not fast enough, but they adapted to run without power.
Massive power cuts in Spain and Portugal have caused chaos, with trains unable to run, phone services out, and tens of millions of people impacted. But it's unclear yet how long it will take for it to be fully restored, with warnings it may be up to a week.
Traffic lights? Out cold. Drivers were honking like mad, and intersections turned into free-for-alls. People were stuck in elevators, trains just stopped. And some ATMs went offline completely. Imagine being mid-withdrawal, and the screen just goes black. Even phone networks lagged, and forget about Wi-Fi, it was gone. For hours, people were cut off, confused, and honestly kinda freaked out.
Here in Spain, there is a blackout happening right now. There's no electricity anywhere in Madrid, in all of Spain, and in fact, apparently in Portugal also.
Now here's where things start getting spicy. Some blamed the government. Theories started flying online fast. One big one, enemy nations trying a cyber attack. Like, what if this blackout wasn't just some faulty wire, but someone out there flexing their digital muscles? Some folks pointed fingers at foreign hackers doing a test run. Others say it's tied to military tech, like maybe there was some sort of secret weapon being tested that interfered with the grid.
You know, the weather has been a cause in the past. What have other causes been of these kind of mass outages?
There can be equipment failures that are compounded by other equipment or automatic things that are supposed to respond to limit the impact of the first thing that for some reason doesn't work or doesn't work in the way that was intended. So, things can cascade. This is why I say, kind of a power system is a very large, extremely complex, single interconnected system that, in a way, it's amazing that it operates as reliably as it does. And that's thanks to, as I say, experience and the design of how it works. So we can never say never in terms of a major outage. And quite often it is a compounding of effects. Multiple things revealed happened at the same time. And so in those cases, you want backup systems to be in place to limit the impact.
And then there's the wild card, solar flares. Yeah, apparently the sun was acting up that week, and a few people claim it messed with Earth's magnetosphere and triggered the outage. But then you've got the hardcore theorists saying it was a distraction.
And so if one magnetic field with stored energy sees another magnetic field, those two look at each other and say, hey, if we connect, we can get rid of a lot of energy. They do so, they reconnect, wow.
It's a huge explosion, and we call it a solar flare. And this can be equivalent to millions of nuclear weapons exploding simultaneously.
Something else went down while everyone was looking at the dark. After an excruciatingly long wait of 23 hours, the electricity grid in Spain was fully restored on Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. So after the lights came back on, people were left asking the same thing. Are we safe? Can something like this happen again? Honestly, yeah. Europe's power grid is all connected, which is great when everything works. But when it breaks, total domino effect. Some experts are now saying we need better protections, stronger backup systems, and more transparency. But not everyone's buying it. Some believe this was a warning shot, or even a test. Either way, the message is clear. Our power systems are more fragile than we think. One blackout, 3 countries, a whole lot of questions. Was it just bad luck, or was someone, somewhere, testing something big? We may never get the full story, but one thing's for sure. The lights went out, and now a lot of eyes are wide open. Just a few weeks after the black, there was another massive internet outage. Now this wasn't the first time the lights went out in a big way. Back in 2003, the US and Canada got hit with a massive blackout. Like 50 million people left sweating in the dark.
The city is known for the bright lights of Times Square, but 20 years ago, a major power outage changed that.
50 million people across the Northeast were in darkness, with the city largely at a standstill. Here's some of our coverage from August of 2003.
There's not much going on here. In terms of electricity, City Hall is still powered by a generator.
Back in August 2003, one of the largest blackouts in North American history hit parts of the US and Canada, affecting over 50 million people across 8 US states and Ontario. It all started on August 14th.
20 years ago today, New York City, known as the city that never sleeps, went dark during the blackout of 2003. Nearly 50 million people across the Northeast and Ohio and Michigan were left without power. And the city ground to a halt. Even subway service was out. Workers at the stadium, Mets and Giants players had to be evacuated from Shea.
When a software bug in an energy company's control room caused operators to miss signs of a problem. Power lines sagged into trees and tripped, but because of that bug, no alarms were triggered. The failure went unnoticed, and within just 9 seconds, the entire grid began to unravel like falling dominoes. Major cities, New York, Cleveland, Detroit, Ottawa, and Toronto went dark. Elevators stopped, traffic lights died, airports froze, and even water systems were disrupted. The outage lasted up to 4 days in some areas, and the economic losses were estimated at $6 billion. Officials later blamed poor maintenance.
A large portion of the electric transmission systems to the south and east of us, in particular, had completely disconnected from the electric grid.
Lack of communication and outdated systems. But conspiracy theorists had a field day. Some speculated about cyber attacks, secret drills, or even government testing. Whether it was just a glitch or something deeper, it was a harsh reminder of how fast everything can collapse when the lights go out. Fast forward to 2012, and India had the biggest one ever, 620 million people with no power. Imagine an entire continent just shutting down. In July 2012, India was hit by the largest blackout in world history, affecting over 620 million people. That's nearly 9% of the planet's population. It happened in 2 waves. The first on July 30th, which took out power across 7 states. Just when things were getting back on track, the second and much bigger outage hit on July 31st, knocking out electricity in 22 states. Trains stopped mid-route, hospitals ran on generators, and traffic turned into chaos. The cause? Officials blamed states overdrawing power from the grid during a heat wave.
In great supply, frustration, and despair.
The whole system was at a standstill. That goes on to show how vulnerable we are.
But it felt like the system just wasn't built to handle the pressure. With so many people left in the dark, literally, it sparked questions about whether it was just poor planning or something more. And let's not forget South America in 2019. Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, gone in an instant. On June 16, 2019, a massive blackout swept across Argentina, Uruguay, and parts of Paraguay, plunging nearly 48 million people into sudden darkness without warning.
Subways aren't working. You can't even recharge your transit card to ride the bus, and you can't get around if you don't have a car.
Cities like Buenos Aires and Montevideo came to a standstill. Trains froze, hospitals scrambled for backup power, and even local elections were held by candlelight. Authorities blamed a failure at a hydroelectric dam, combined with a glitch in the grid's protection system. But the scale and speed of the collapse raised eyebrows. Why did an isolated fault take down multiple countries? Was it a cyber attack, an internal sabotage, or something else entirely? Theories swirled, but just like the lights, the official narrative dimmed quickly, leaving more questions than answers. Another thing that made people wary of these blackouts are nuclear reactors. Yes, you heard that right. Now, how are nuclear reactors related to blackouts? Well, a massive blackout can be a big deal for nuclear plants because they rely heavily on external power to keep their cooling systems running. Even when a nuclear reactor is shut down, it still produces a lot of heat. If a blackout cuts off the plant's power and the backup generators fail, the cooling systems can stop working. Without cooling, the reactor can overheat, which is what led to disasters like Fukushima in 2011. That wasn't from the earthquake itself, but from a power loss that disabled the cooling after the tsunami.
Teetering on what looks like a meltdown after the quake and the tsunami, a blast at the Daiichi nuclear power plant in Fukushima. Its sheer power plain to see.
Well, experts are warning that radiation levels now are rising at the Fukushima nuclear plant, and there is a high risk, they are saying, of a leak if the situation isn't resolved in the next few hours.
4:36 p.m. we've received a report that the water cannot be pumped, and we are currently working on how to obtain enough electricity.
So, if a widespread blackout hits an area with a large number of reactors, like in Europe or the US, and if multiple plants lose grid power and backup systems fail, then yes, up to 150 reactors could be at serious risk. That's why these plants have layers of redundancy. But even then, nothing is 100% foolproof, especially during a massive, unexpected grid collapse. So, every time, it's blamed on something technical, but the pattern's kinda weird, right? planet? Is mankind on its way to collapse itself? Got a theory of your own? Drop it in the comments. We're all ears.
Thank you very much for watching the video. Share in the comments and do like the video and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again,